Studio 31.
Now at 4, the countdown to the Orange Line shutdown. We are exactly 5 hours away from a major transportation disruption. We're going to have live team coverage on what you should expect starting tonight.
A wildfire flares up again in Saugus. Fierce flames and smoke forcing the Break Heart Reservation to close for the second time in 3 days.
And a house explodes in New Hampshire. Check out the damage done here. Debris absolutely everywhere. The homeowner was inside and joins us coming up.
But first, we begin with that breaking news from the South Coast. This massive fire in Mattapoisett, our sister station, WJAR, says the fire broke out at a boatyard and involved buildings, boats, and cars. You can see what appears to be boats are on fire and a ton of thick black smoke there. A mechanic at the boatyard tells our sister station that the fire started in one of the sheds and then quickly spread. That mechanic also says one person was hurt. We have not confirmed that with officials just yet. We're working on that and we'll bring you more news as soon as this scene develops. And now to our big story at 4, the Orange Line shutdown. That line is shutting down for 30 days as the state prepares for an unprecedented transit shakeup. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Priscilla Casper.
And I'm Colton Bradford. The countdown clock continues. Repair work on the Orange Line begins at 9 p.m. tonight. Streets in Boston, Malden, Medford, and Somerville will have many more shuttle buses, which will carry people who would normally ride the Orange Line.
Now here is the countdown clock until the shutdown. Just over about 5 hours right this second. Officials are bracing for some of the worst traffic jams that they've ever seen here.
That's right. So NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield joins us live from the Mass Ave stop in Boston. Michael, what are you hearing from commuters right now?
Well, Colton, they are certainly not happy about what's to come. This is going to be a major headache. We know these signs have been up all over the place, reminding people that everything kicks off at 9 o'clock tonight. And then at that hour, all of the doors here on the Orange Line at the 20 different stations will be closing. Orange Line riders bracing for the worst.
I think it's going to be a total massacre.
Rhoda Johnson hops on at the Mass Ave stop at least twice a week to shop, run errands, and pay bills at City Hall. She's not looking forward to the month ahead.
Watch everybody scream and holler and act up. That's my, and just stand aside and just take my time where I have to go.
MBTA officials acknowledge this will be rough with the 20 stops on the Orange Line shut down, close to 200 shuttle buses navigating the streets, and so many more people walking and biking in the city.
We know this closure will be disruptive.
The T says the fixes they'll be making will make the trains run faster, safer, and more reliable.
We'll be able to accomplish over 5 years' worth of projects during these 30 days, including work on important safety initiatives and work that will alleviate at least 6 slow zones.
More than 100,000 people take the Orange Line every day, and now they'll need a new plan of attack to get to where they need to go.
It's just so confusing to everything and everybody. It's, I'm worried. I'm worried, absolutely. The congestion in the street is just, we're not ready for it. They're not ready for this. Absolutely not. This is ridiculous.
Kim Aravallo rides the Orange Line from Malden to downtown Boston and Cambridge all the time.
They put a Band-Aid on everything. They should have really fixed this a long time ago. It shouldn't have to come to this.
So around 9 o'clock tonight, all of the Orange Line cars will be moved out of service and into storage, and then the entire line will be powered down. Live in the South End, Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
Michael, thank you. Now, officials continue to plead for patience as shuttle bus drivers learn to navigate our streets. Our crews saw more than one bus struggle to make this tight turn that you see there. This is happening near Stony Brook Station and JP. This is one of the many intersections where the city will block some parking to make it easier for these buses that you see here to turn.
Well, there's no doubt the shutdown will cause headaches for drivers. It's also a major concern for organizations that deliver food daily to homebound seniors. NBC 10's Bianca Beltran joining us live in Jamaica Plain, where they can't afford to avoid driving in the city. Bianca.
Right, we visited Ethos today, which delivers Meals on Wheels, and they're located right down the street from this Green Street station. And between the traffic employees expect to face coming into work and the traffic they'll face making those deliveries, they're preparing for a tough couple of weeks ahead.
Then you make sure the load is correct.
Every day, Ethos drivers deliver 8,000 meals to seniors all over Boston.
When we have closures, like the upcoming Orange Line closure, it definitely has ripple effects across the entire community. And for us, when we have Meals on Wheels drivers on the road each morning, when we have case managers out to do home visits, it really slows down our operation.
Ray Santos says they already battle rush hour traffic during their delivery window.
The clock is ticking every single morning to get hot, nutritious meals out to consumers. And so, even a 20-minute delay, from our caterer to our travel time to and from a consumer's home, it might have a real impact on us.
Michael Finkley says many of their clients can't cook for themselves anymore.
If that food drops below a certain temperature, we can't send it out because, of course, it's going to be a risk to the senior's health.
They plan to wait and see what the shutdown brings and make adjustments as needed.
Certainly, if you can be off the road while we're delivering meals in the morning, if you don't have to be in the office or you don't have to come into work and you don't have to drive, and you can leave a little bit more room for the Meals on Wheels drivers that are out there and be patient, we would greatly appreciate it.
Now, another reason they need to keep these deliveries going is that they serve as daily wellness checks. And in some cases, drivers have helped in medical emergencies. We'll have more about that coming up at 5. Reporting live in Jamaica Plain, I'm Bianca Beltran, NBC 10 Boston.
Bianca, thank you. Now, here's something that caught our eye around here. Starting Monday, your free Blue Bikes ride will include valet at some locations. Blue Cross Blue Shield is sponsoring newly hired valets at 4 locations in Boston during the morning and evening commutes. That's going to happen between 7 and 11 in the morning and 3 and 7 in the evening. Since Blue Bike usage will go up during the shutdown, valets will step in when bike docks get full. They'll store the bikes nearby and wheel them out. Again, when the commute goes in the other direction, you get the drill. City Hall and Ruggles T stations are 2 of the 4 planned locations for those valets, but the locations may change based on where the demand is greatest. The Blue Bikes app and website will have all the latest info. And of course, for the latest on the Orange Line shutdown, you can take out your phone right now, scan that QR code that you see on your screen. There is a lot to cover here. That's going to take you to our website at NBC10Boston.com. There you will get a full breakdown of the service disruption and also a link to the MBTA's rider guide to plan ahead.
And a reminder that parts of the Green Line will be out of service for about a month. Starting on Monday, the Green Line will be shut down from the Union Square to Government Center stations. That's so the T can do some construction work that will help open the Medford branch this fall. Shuttle buses will be offered to replace the Green Line service.
All right, Sky Ranger over Saugus here, where ongoing brush fires have again forced Breakheart Reservation to close tomorrow and today, obviously. You can see some heavy flames there. Now, this also happened on Wednesday, as we reported on. Several fires flared up then. Of course, there has been very dry weather, but investigators say the fires earlier this week were suspicious in nature. It's not clear how today's fires got started as well.
And now, Colton, we can really use this rain as we're in this severe drought. Meteorologist Tevin Wooten joining us now. Any rain we can expect this weekend? I wouldn't expect much, Priscilla. A splash or dash shower here or there, primarily for western Massachusetts. But back to the Breakheart Reservation fire that's burning right now in Saugus. I want to zoom in and show you a little bit more precisely as to where this location for the hot spot is. Actually, several different zones, if you will, of hot spots near Lower Pond and Upper Pond. Broadway and Highway 1 just to the east, where there is a bit more residential activity and also areas too. So a lot of the firefighters are out there right now. They're trying to fan the flames down and beat down the fire, but the winds are actually making that a little bit more difficult, pushing in from the west at 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's not just the winds, it's also the drier air out there. Look at the dew points, a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. There is not much. In fact, dew points in and around Lawrence and Boston and Bedford in the mid 40s, getting even lower right now for Fitchburg at about 43 degrees, Norwood at 49 degrees. So widespread elevated fire concerns today for Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. I think that lessens tomorrow, but here's really how we got here. I mean, look at the drought monitor, extreme drought all across eastern Massachusetts and for much of Rhode Island. Okay, enough of the bad news. Let's get to the good news here. The drier weather, of course, making for a nice and sunny and hot day today. Temperatures in the 90s. What about tomorrow? Pushing closer towards the 90s as well by midday tomorrow. And speaking of the 90s, Colton, Priscilla, it's time for a little trivia today on Friday. We love this. On average, when is Boston's last 90-degree day? I'll give you some options here. Put your thinking caps on. Is it August the 14th, August the 24th, September the 4th,
or September the 14th? Hold on to your guesses. You at home, please play along too. You can tweet me at Tevin Wooten your response. We'll answer this coming up and show you the potential for more 90s down the line. Is that a hint at the answer?
Okay. All right. I see what you did there, Tev. Don't Google it, everyone. We'll see Tev again in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we don't cheat here.
That's right.
No.
All right, check out the damage done after a house exploded in New Hampshire. You can see here Sky Ranger over the scene, as well as parts of the house littered all over the yard. The owner was actually inside with the son when this happened. Some good news to report is that they're okay. Now, the explosion happened this morning in the town of Hampstead, and that's where we find NBC 10's Mike Manzoni. He's joining us live there. And Mike, you spoke to the homeowner. What did he tell you?
Colton, he told me he was sleeping when his house just blew up. Look at the incredible damage. His son and their dog were in the other room. Amazingly, they all walked out okay. And that's really incredible when you look at the damage out here. Even firefighters say they were shocked that everyone survived. Investigators suspect that a propane leak caused the blast.
He just kept yelling at me, "Dad, get out, get out."
Nathan Close was asleep when everything around him just blew to pieces.
All the debris was falling all over me when I was in the bed.
The blast knocked his Hampstead, New Hampshire home off its foundation, blew out walls, ripped off siding, and sent his garage door flying across the street into his neighbor's front yard.
Nobody really got hurt. My son got a couple of scrapes on him because he actually got blown from the kitchen into the dining room.
Investigators suspect that propane caused the whole thing, which neighbors say even shook their homes.
We just heard a loud bang and woke me up.
School Street doesn't have any gas lines, but many homes have propane tanks. Investigators are now trying to find out if anyone recently worked on this one.
Anytime you're working with gas, electricity, use a licensed professional, and they'll ensure that the job is done correctly.
There's a propane stove, there's a propane water heater, and there's a propane dryer. So we're starting to look at those appliances as best we can.
Nathan's home is obviously a total loss, but he says he'll build a new one for himself, his son, and their dog Jessie.
I just thank God that I got out and he got out. We didn't really get hurt.
And Nathan says he'll be staying with his daughter for now while he sorts out his next steps. We're live in Hampstead, New Hampshire. Mike Manzoni, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, Mike, thank you. Let's stay in New Hampshire for a second. Construction equipment raining down on cars on a New Hampshire highway. Now police need your help finding whoever is responsible. Take a look. These are the cars that were hit last night in Bedford. Police say rebar, shovels, and concrete were thrown from the Queen City Bridge into oncoming traffic. In fact, that rebar broke through a windshield right into an empty passenger seat. Fortunately, no one was hurt. They say if you know anything, please to call police.
A British national who was a member of ISIS was sentenced to life in prison for torturing and executing foreign hostages in Syria, including New Hampshire native James Foley. El-Shafi El-Sheikh was found guilty back in April on charges related to the deaths of Foley and 3 other Americans. Foley's mother says she welcomes the sentencing.
In order to deter violent crimes like international kidnapping and torture of American citizens, we must have accountability. We must have justice. And with today's verdict, we finally have a bit of justice.
El-Sheikh was part of a group called the Beatles because of their accents.
All right, let's shift gears now and talk the Patriots. The final home preseason game kicks off tonight at 7, of course, in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. The Pats host the Carolina Panthers, and the expectation is that quarterback Mac Jones and other starters will play. Now, usually, we all know this, preseason games can be pretty sleepy, right? But tonight, there's an added layer of competition. The teams had joint practices all week, and they were filled with fights. We're going to see if that feistiness carries over.
I know they needed to practice more this week instead of the fights, but it'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah,
what
no
happens.
doubt about that. I'm so ready for football season, you guys.
I know.
I'm all eyes on it. It's going to be an exciting season.
I can't wait. All right, still ahead, major cuts coming to Wayfair. The online retailer based here in Boston lays off hundreds of workers. What we know about the local impact ahead.
And around the country, job numbers are solid, but there are other concerns with the economy, namely the housing market. It's not booming right now. Why that is ahead.
Ahead at 4:30, heartbreak on the North Shore. A beloved restaurant is saying goodbye.
And ahead at 5, preparing for the month-long Orange Line shutdown. Our coverage continues, and we actually got on board a shuttle bus filled with local leaders, checking out the route that so many people will be using. Our Abby Nesgoda's exclusive report coming up.
A cyber attack locked her out of her phone and drained thousands out of her bank account.
That phone number was disconnected this morning. He's like, you called this morning. I'm like, no, I didn't.
After weeks of trying to get her money back with no result, she called us for help.
If you guys didn't guide me for the right step to do it, probably I didn't get the money.
Find out how we helped her get it back.
You guys doing a great job helping the people.
NBC 10 Boston responds tonight at 11 on NBC 10 Boston.
And welcome back. The Boston-based online home furnishings retailer Wayfair is cutting nearly 900 jobs, including 400 right here in Boston. The layoffs come as Wayfair reports second quarter revenue was down nearly 15% from last year. The job cuts represent about 5% of the company's global workforce. Back in 2020, Wayfair laid off 3% of its workforce, though the company did rebound during the pandemic. Now, big gains in the Massachusetts job market. 13,500 jobs were added just last month. The statewide unemployment rate also dropped by 0.2%. That's down to 3.5%. Professional and business services, along with education and health services, had the largest job gains for a private sector. The leisure and hospitality sector lost the most jobs.
Now, across the nation, job numbers are solid as well, but other segments of the economy continue to lag. The once booming housing market has now seen home sales drop for a 6th straight month, with both interest rates and home prices rising. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
An economic mixed bag, leaving analysts scratching their heads.
We're still a bit confused about where this economy is going. The economy is neither sort of plunging nor soaring. It's kind of holding there in the middle.
Bringing changes to where Americans fill their shopping bags.
We try to go from store to store and get whatever is cheaper.
Inflation causing Kohl's to slash its financial forecast and driving more high-income consumers to stores like Walmart.
People are really price focused right now, regardless of income level.
U.S. retail sales were flat last month, with Americans shifting small savings from falling gas prices to other necessities, while housing sales are plummeting for the 6th month in a row.
Well, several experts now have said that the housing market is in a recession.
At the same time, home prices are up nearly 11% from a year ago, just as rising mortgage rates squeeze out more buyers.
What the Federal Reserve has been trying to do is raise interest rates, in fact, to slow things down. And guess what? It's working.
As the Fed tries to rein in inflation, the Biden administration pointing to its newly passed Inflation Reduction Act and a solid jobs market.
We're seeing important signs of resilience in this economy.
First-time unemployment claims dropping for the first time in 3 weeks, down to just 250,000. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, one of the oldest fairs in the state is back. Today, we're talking about the Marshfield Fair. The fair has run for 154 years. You can enjoy rides, fresh food, and take part in educational programs. Oh, look at that cutie! It's one of the few remaining fairs that still focuses on agriculture. Tickets are $15, but there's no charge for children 6 years old and younger. It runs now through Sunday, August 28th.
Football season, the fair, I'm ready. All right, another tradition returns on Sunday. It's the 50th running of the Falmouth Road Race. It's just over 7 miles, of course. Part of it is along the coast, and the field of runners is expected to be around 10,000. That's actually slightly smaller than past years. The race draws an international field of Olympians, elites, and, of course, recreational runners. NBC 10 Boston is a proud sponsor of the Falmouth Road Race. Our own Tevin Wooten will be live at the starting line during our Sunday morning newscast. And Eli Rosenberg, this is going to be awesome, you guys. He's going to be joined by Olympic marathon medalist Dina Castor to anchor the entire race, start to finish. You can watch it streaming live on our website at NBCBoston.com, and that begins at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday. So definitely want to check that out.
I cannot wait, and I really hope, since you're going to be there,
I will be there.
I think you should join in.
I might
run with them.
I might walk with them about 100 to 200 yards for a live interview. That would be great. But I cannot overstate how excited I am to join all of the 10,000 and perhaps one runners there in Falmouth on Sunday.
You're going to love it, Tev. Everyone also is just in such a good mood when they get out there. It's going to be a good Sunday.
And the weather. Oh my gosh.
It helps that the weather is summer-like, right? The dew points, though, will start to climb into Sunday, so not as dry as days like today, but still, it will feel quite warm. It will be very, very nice and sunny for Sunday. Speaking of nice and sunny, when I left you guys, I did ask on average, when is Boston's last 90-degree day? Gave you a couple options here, August the 14th, the 24th of August, September the 4th here in a couple of weeks, or September the 14th. Priscilla, Colton, I'm putting you on the spot. What were your answers?
Okay.
Ladies first, Priscilla.
You're so sweet. I'm thinking because you said there could be more.
Okay.
I'm going to go with B.
Okay.
Wow, you're going
August 24th.
Okay.
Colton, what about you?
I'm going September 14th.
September the 4th. Oh, September 14th.
I'm going deep into September.
And the answer is
We don't want it to last that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Priscilla. Coming back here, 1 point on the board for Priscilla. No points for Colton today.
Yes.
And Colton, you would be close if you say the latest on record is actually October the 12th. That was back in 1954. Now, typically this time of year, our averages are around 80 degrees. We were well above that today, 92. The dew points are low and nice and dry there at 46. Winds out of the north and west, of course, bringing in some of that drier air. It's been too dry at times. In fact, this is a Mattapoisett fire. You can actually see the smoke plume that picked up on the radar. To an untrained eye, rather, you may think, oh, that's some rain showers pushing through. But we can actually notice that the smoke doesn't move, or the flames don't move in terms of the relation to the land mass, or the land rather, across the south coast. So that's how we're able to tell that that was a fire. Now we take a closer look at the radar. We've got dry skies all across New England. Clouds start to build in tonight, and we actually get into tomorrow, and it's a 1 or 2 spots that may pick up on a brief shower, splash or dash, primarily for western Mass. Right around 5 p.m. to about 8 p.m. That activity dries out, pushes on towards the north. We've got dry skies that start Sunday too. Clouds trying to build in. Now we get into Monday and Tuesday next week. That's actually where we have a decent chance for rainfall, but it's not going to bring enough to bring us out of drought by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, limits are picking up closer to 3/10 of an inch of rain. An early look for Brockton and Bridgewater closer to 1/4 of an inch, and Martha's Vineyard a little bit more than that, right around 4/10 of an inch. And this is what I mean by this certainly won't be enough to do it. We are about 10 inches below average for rainfall for the year in Boston. Typically, we'd have about 27 inches in the bucket, and this is all we got. So if you were to say typically you'd have about $27 and you only have 16 or 17, well, you're about $9 or $10 short. Temperatures right now across the region, Worcester Hills right around 85. Across the Merrimack Valley, we're in the low 90s, and the North Shore hanging out to right around 87 degrees. It's a beautiful day to go to the beach today. Outdoor dining, perhaps if you're lucky enough, Colton, to get to Fenway to go to the Lady Gaga concert later tonight. It will be a beautiful evening for outdoor activities. Tomorrow, we pick up right back where we left off, jumping up into the upper 80s and low 90s for Saturday. Here's a closer look at the 10-day forecast. Again, Monday and Tuesday presenting the best chance for rainfall, but it's not likely to be widespread by any stretch of the imagination. Notice our temperatures taking a dip on Monday down to about 77 degrees. That's a little bit closer to our average, by the way. Average high this time of year. We should be right around 80 to 81. Starting to surpass that on Wednesday, certainly more so into Thursday and Friday. But look at the stretch of dry weather that leads us right on into the end of next week. Guys.
All right, Tev. And for those of you,
if you want to play along with us and Tevin,
yes,
we're tied.
Yes. Priscilla and I are tied.
We need to get you a Sharpie so you can see it better.
I know. Tev, you have stumped us twice now.
Yeah. I've stumped you twice now. Priscilla, you actually picked up on a point.
So there you go. For anyone who's keeping up.
Yeah, I just want the 90s to end, so I was picking the closest date possible. That was my strategy.
Good stuff as always, Tev.
All right, thanks, Tevin. Well, up next, the flaw that could give cyber criminals complete control over your iPhone.
Yeah, the steps that Apple needs you to take right now to make sure that your privacy is protected.
Ahead at 5, what are the concerns for Orange Line riders as the shutdown begins tonight? What passengers told us about what they expect coming up.
Priscilla Casper and Glenn Jones, weeknights at 6 and 11 on NBC 10 Boston.
And welcome back. If you have an iPhone, iPad, or really any other Apple product, listen up. The company wants you to update your devices now. Apple just disclosed serious security flaws for iPhones, iPads, and Macs. they could potentially allow hackers to take complete control of the device. Apple says it's aware of these reports that this may have already happened.
And here's a story you will not want to miss tonight at 11. A scammer nearly drained a local viewer's bank account by stealing her cell phone number.
Do you suspect anything that might have happened? Did you click something?
You know what? No, I always that's one thing I always be careful.
Our friend and colleague Betsy Bedell from Telemundo was able to help get her money back. She explains what you need to know to protect yourself. That's going to happen tonight right here at 11.
All right, and we are counting down to the Orange Line shutdown. It's all happening at 9 tonight. Up next, a local business leader who has presented an alternative plan to the T shutdown. He will join us live to talk about his idea that he says will make the shutdown less disruptive. Plus this.
Get me 6 feet away or I'm going to deck.
Yep, that's former Maine Governor Paul LePage threatening to hit a Democratic Party employee who's been following around on the campaign trail as he tries to win that office again. More on that entire kerfuffle coming up ahead at 4:40.
Hey, welcome back. We're following two breaking stories at the top of 4:30 here on NBC 10 Boston. The first is down on the South Coast where a massive fire is burning at a boatyard in Mattapoisett. A mechanic tells our sister station WJAR that the fire sparked in a shed and then quickly spread. You can see the boats, cars, and other buildings completely engulfed in flames and smoke. We'll bring you more on this story as soon as we get more information into our newsroom.
Also breaking, another wildfire popping up at the Breakheart Reservation. This is in Saugus. Sky Ranger over the scene earlier this afternoon. You can see the smoke in the air over the trees there. The Department of Conservation and Recreation says the park will be closed to the public, obviously, for the rest of the day as a result of this. And it comes just 2 days after multiple brush fires popped up at the reservation, which we reported on. Those fires are considered suspicious.
And now to the Orange Line shutdown. We're about 4.5 hours until it starts. It's expected to last 30 days.
Yeah, and starting tonight at 9 p.m., the MBTA will make repairs to the Orange Line that they hope will make the route run faster and more efficient. Now, the T has brought in about 200 shuttle buses from all around the country. They'll be navigating the streets of Boston, Somerville, Medford, and Malden, getting riders from station to station. Now, riders should expect longer commutes no matter how they travel.
We are expecting major traffic impacts in certain areas over the next 4 weeks while the diversion is ongoing.
I think it's going to be a mess. I mean, who doesn't?
We did not make this decision lightly. We know this closure will be disruptive.
There's just no way to sugarcoat it at this point. In addition to those shuttle buses, other options for people who usually ride the Orange Line include the commuter rail, shuttle buses, and bikes, or even walking.
Now, this 30-day shutdown is a dramatic move. One group of Boston area business leaders have offered an alternative that they say would be less disruptive. That group is called A Better City. A Better City CEO is Rick Dimino. He's worked on several regional infrastructure projects. He's joining us live this afternoon. Hi there, Rick.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Now, your plan would restore weekday Orange Line service after Labor Day and shut down the line on weekends through late October. Now, do I have this correct? And would it be too late to adopt this plan?
Well, I think the T and the governor's office examined our proposal. I wish they adopted it. I think that the first 2 weeks of September are obviously some of the most challenging weeks in our region, in our Commonwealth. That's when students are returning to school, universities are back. Young people that are getting into those universities are usually crowding the streets with trucks to get into their new apartments. We're also looking to see businesses have workforce return. I think there were a number of businesses that were expecting to see kind of a re-engagement of some of their employees coming back to the workplace in September. So the T moved forward with its 4-week shutdown. I hope they have some contingency plans if they're having some challenges so that they can maybe revert back to our original proposal. But right now, I think everybody should expect that they're intending to move forward with their 4-week shutdown.
Yeah, what are your expectations for the weeks ahead in terms of disruption? I mean, this is such a busy time. Everyone's really coming back to the city.
Yeah, I think my hope is that the first 2 weeks, meaning the last 2 weeks of August, that people are getting the message. I couldn't have asked for a stronger message in some ways. I mean, the highway administrator of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts telling everybody to avoid the region, that's a pretty strong statement. And again, as a business community leader, not necessarily one that, well, on one hand, I understood the reality of that, but on the other hand, it's not necessarily great for the economy to be telling everybody to avoid the region. But things will absolutely begin to pick up after Labor Day. That Tuesday after Labor Day is, without a doubt, a time when it's always been concerning to area transportation planners and organizations like ours. So obviously there's commuter rail, there's going to be bicycling, there's going to be obviously the shuttle system, but we're talking about 100,000 patrons that usually get on the Orange Line on a daily basis. So that's going to be hard to substitute those transportation opportunities with the alternatives that will be in place, unless actually further work is done to, especially as it relates to commuter rail. We could actually be running commuter rail much better than what they're proposing if we run it more like a regional rail or rapid transit system. If they could get to that level by September 6th, that might be a helpful alternative.
Yeah, we'll be following up with that. Now, the governor has said that the T's plan allows for 5 years of work to be done in just 30 days. So what does this 5 years of work mean?
Well, to be honest with you, we're not exactly sure how that math worked out. What we know is that the T was originally planning on doing this Orange Line shutdown work on the weekends. What we know is the T was originally planning to do some track repair that they were prioritizing for the Orange Line. What we know is that they were originally thinking, as I said, to do it on weekends, and there were some discussions that could have been done over a year. And plus, we know our own plan. Our own plan had them shutting down the T for 2 weeks and then allowing for 5 additional weekends on top of the schedule. So we're not exactly sure what that 5-year timetable was meant to address, but we know that this could be done in a shorter timetable without necessarily having 2 weeks in September having to experience a full shutdown.
Yeah, a lot of work done in 30 days. We'll be following it closely. Rick Dabino from A Better City, thank you so much for your insight this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking to you further.
Thank you. All right, for the latest on the Orange Line shutdown, take out your phone and scan that QR code you see up on your screen. It will take you to our website, NBC10boston.com, where there's a treasure trove of information. You can see our interactive map of the shuttle bus routes and stops for the next month. There's also a link to the MBTA's Rider Guide to Planning Ahead.
All right, 5 years and 30 days. We'll see if that happens. New at 4:30, a shooting in Lawrence is under investigation. It happened this morning near Manchester Street and May Street. Police say 2 people were shot. Both are expected to be okay. No word on any suspects, but police do not believe that this was a random attack. The truck driver acquitted of causing the deaths of 7 motorcyclists in New Hampshire is now in custody of immigration officials. A judge has asked that Vladimir Zhukovsky be removed from the country. Zhukovsky was born in Ukraine and came to the United States when he was 10. Federal officials issued an immigration detainer on him after that crash back in 2019. An ICE spokesperson says he has prior convictions, including drug possession and driving with a suspended license.
A staple north of Boston is shutting down after 75 years in the business. We're talking about Skip's Snack Bar in Merrimack. The restaurant on East Main Street is planning to close its doors for good at the end of the month. The co-owner reportedly told customers that it's time to move on. According to a statement in the Daily News, the owner says Skip's is not a victim of a COVID closure, but has chosen at this time to move on to a new chapter. The restaurant first opened back in 1947.
All right, let's shift gears here and talk about something a lot of folks are looking forward to. It should be an epic night at Fenway tonight.
And you're going to be there.
Lady Gaga, I will be there, is hitting the stage at the ballpark. You have a favorite Lady Gaga song, Priscilla?
Oh my God, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Tonight's concert, of course, has been a long time coming for fans. Lady Gaga has rescheduled her Chromatica Ball tour twice because of the pandemic. She's only going to 11 cities, too, so here in the U.S. So
we are pretty lucky here.
Yeah, Boston made the cut. A reminder, though, that if you are headed to the concerts and you're riding the T, well, the show ends just as the Orange Line shutdown begins.
Yeah, and I will be here along with Glenn Jones, and we are going to be covering everything that is the shutdown, and you'll enjoy the concert.
Yeah.
So I'll have to ask you how it's going to go getting home.
Yeah, you let me know how that goes. I will be far away from the T.
Well, former Maine Governor Paul LePage is known for his confrontational style. It's showing up again as he runs for governor again.
6 feet away or I'm going to deck you.
All right, that's the threat that LePage made to a Democratic Party employee who's been following him around with the camera. The fallout of the incident, it's coming up.
And good news for Roku users, you can now get our latest NBC 10 Boston news, weather, and award-winning investigative reports on your TV or Roku app. Just select the live TV tile on your Roku TV home screen, then click the left arrow button, or you can open the Roku channel app, click the left arrow button. I know a lot of directions here, a lot. It'll take you to the navigation menu. You can scroll down to channel 140 and select live TV. Tevin, you following with me? You're getting it set. You can watch NBC 10 Boston on Roku from anywhere in the country.
Then spin around and jump twice, and hopefully you'll be able to watch. We'll see you right after this.
Matt Noyce is a scientist, and he lives and breathes weather.
Loves what he does. He's so passionate about the weather.
And when you want to know there's a huge storm, he's always right.
And you can complain about the weather, or you can watch Matt Noyce's forecast and be set up for the day.
LX News delivers live news every weekday from noon to midnight with a storytelling approach that speaks directly to you.
There's a lot going on.
Watch LX News every weekday from noon to midnight on TV, cable, and on your favorite streaming platforms.
All right, let's turn now to the wild world of politics, shall we? A confrontation on video between former Maine Governor Paul LePage and a party research associate tracking him on camera. LePage is running for a third term as governor of Maine. He told the person filming him to keep away or he would, quote, deck him. NBC 10's Dustin Lakowski has more.
6 feet away or I'm going to deck you.
Words
come into my space, you go down.
From former Maine Republican Governor Paul LePage, directed at a person who the Maine Democratic Party says is a research associate for it. That person taking video of LePage at events like this one, the Madawaska Acadian Festival on August 14th.
Enough is enough. 6 feet away.
A spokesperson for LePage's campaign saying he hasn't commented officially on the interaction since, but felt the Democratic staffer was getting more vocal, following closer. Maine's GOP saying recent attacks on public figures like Salman Rushdie make it no surprise LePage was unhappy at the staffer. Meantime, the executive director of the Maine Democratic Party, who himself received a profane voicemail from LePage years ago, said the incident shows, quote, LePage was, is, and always will be a bully.
Governor LePage has said that in this opportunity to be governor, we're going to see Paul LePage 2.0.
Maine Republican political analyst Phil Harriman saying the incident shows LePage should be more prepared for something unexpected to happen and not lose cool, especially after saying he would be a different person following his past bombast. Harriman adding that the video underscores the chaotic, aggressive level of political dialogue between parties that, after years and years, goes on.
I think the reason it continues is because so far it works. Hopefully there's a candidate in this election cycle or in one to come that demonstrates that if you don't engage in this sort of mud wrestling, that the voters will take notice.
In Portland, Maine, Dustin Blikowski, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, well, switching gears now. It is hard to believe that summer is nearly over and the first day of school is just getting closer.
Yeah, but it's not too late for families to make some summer memories for free, too. Our Leslie Gatus shares some ideas coming up in T.
Who says summer has to end? Wait a minute. We still got summer-like temperatures today, tomorrow. That carries into next week, too. I'll time that out coming up.
Colton Bradford and Priscilla Casper, weeknights at 4 p.m. on NBC 10 Boston.
Welcome back. Does it feel like you just blinked and summer is just magically over. We didn't really get a summer vacation we dreamed about.
I know, seriously, yeah. But before the longer days slip away, Consumer Reports says it's not too late to make some lasting summer memories. Here's the best part, for free. NBC 10 consumer investigative reporter Leslie Gatiss has more.
Olgita Pila is a stay-at-home mom, and keeping her two daughters occupied when they're not at school can be challenging, especially when things like gas are more expensive.
Prices going up have affected us making any kind of decisions and trying to figure out what can we do that's free, cheap, easy, and close by.
Whether during the week or a weekend once school starts, there are things you can do in and out of the house to keep little ones entertained, often for free, like going to a museum.
If you receive SNAP benefits, you can get free or reduced admission to over 900 museums through a program called Museums for All. And if you have a library card, many libraries offer free passes to museums right in your city.
How about taking the kids to a live event? Through sites like Eventbrite and allevents.in, you can find free concerts or classes, like a kids' breakdance class. Or maybe you'd like to instill a sense of community in your kids and teach them how to give back. You can find local volunteer opportunities that the family can do together through volunteermatch.org. Rainy days can be a great time to stay in and watch some movies as a family. With sites like Canopy and Hoopla, you can access loads of movies and TV shows for free with just your library card. You can access both on multiple streaming devices, and buying one doesn't have to break the bank. The Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max is a good value at $55. With these tips, keeping the little ones occupied for the rest of the summer may get a bit easier. And if you do plan an outdoor adventure with your family, Consumer Reports reminds you to always practice sun and heat safety. Remember to wear sunscreen and drink plenty of water. Leslie Gatiss, NBC 10 Boston.
I love that Leslie's always reminding us to wear sunscreen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very important.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people forget too. You have to reapply that sunscreen every 30 to 45 minutes or so. So it's not like you just put it on and then you're out in the sun at the beach perhaps for hours on end.
See, look at this bronzy glow he's got.
You've got to reapply the sunscreen.
I know. Listen, it's going to be a great weekend. It kicks off tonight. We've, of course, got the Patriots back at Gillette Stadium.
Kicks off tonight? What are you talking about? You got about 10 minutes left.
And
right?
then I have 10 minutes, and then I am out of here. I am all gas, no break, direct to Fenway to see Lady Gaga tonight.
What you guys can't see off screen is he's already pulled out his car key remote and he's automatically started it. So it's probably cranking, cooling down right now too. A lot of folks are probably saying, hey, it is a phenomenal weekend. Maybe you're rushing out of the office today. You'll certainly enjoy tomorrow too. A couple of clouds to start the day. Head for the beach. I know the roadways will be packed heading down to Providence and perhaps Provincetown as well for Carnival. Some thunderstorms start to approach next week, more so Tuesday into Wednesday. And we could use it. I mean, the drought has obviously been more extreme this year specifically. In fact, what does it take to break a drought? Well, it's going to take a major pattern change. You can also have a tropical system or tropical entity blow through the eastern seaboard and the northeast. A change in the seasons, obviously, would bring cooler temperatures. And at most, it takes time. Now let's go back to that tropical entity. We actually have one that we're tracking right now in the Bay of Campeche in the Gulf of Mexico. This is Invest 99L, winds at about 30 miles an hour. The chance of development in the next 2 days, 70%. In fact, the National Hurricane Center going to go ahead and say this will be potential tropical cyclone 4. So that will allow them to start issuing watches, warning, and advisories. Specifically, if your travels take you today or tomorrow down to Texas and the Texas Gulf Coast, watch out for perhaps flooding, rainfall, and thunderstorms. We could use the rainfall here. Dew points well too low to have rainfall today. 46-degree dew points. The air temperature is at 92. Winds are blowing in from the north and west at 12 to 15 miles an hour. That's blowing in not only that drier air, but at times warmer air. The South Shore is at about 84 degrees. Points across Metro West right around 92. What about tomorrow morning? We start mild, nice, and dry. Clouds break first across the South Coast and portions of the Cape too. So we'll have temperatures right around 66 to start tomorrow morning. Norwood right around 63 and 65 for places like Boston, Massachusetts, rather. Here's a look at those clouds breaking overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. First, again, for the South Coast, for Connecticut and Rhode Island, and then they break for everyone. Now, there will be a spot shower. I think this Futurecast model is overdoing it a little bit too much. The best chances, though, primarily across western Mass and southern New Hampshire throughout Saturday midday. Clouds push in, and then they easily clear out into Sunday, and we're on our way to another nice and sunny day. today. If we take a look at the amount of rainfall we're anticipating, not just from this weekend, but even into Tuesday and Wednesday next week, you can see very minimal rainfall amounts here coming through. Nothing that's going to really pull us deep out of this drought whatsoever. Again, the weekend is nice and dry, hot and sunny, 86 for Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, 70% chance for rain, and maybe even a rumble of thunder or two on Tuesday. Wednesday, we relax the rainfall chances, up the temperatures a bit more, and we carry that summer-like warmth all the way into Thursday and Friday next week.
All right. Nice to get out and enjoy the weekend for sure.
Going to be a good-looking weekend. That is, there's no doubt about that.
Thank you, Tevin. Up next, asking the airline industry to step up.
Delays or cancellations.
Federal officials are now demanding airlines to take better care of their passengers. We'll tell you how these companies are responding.
And what you see here, coming up at 5, you don't want to miss. Our countdown to the Orange Line shutdown continues. We got on board a shuttle bus checking out the route that so many people will be using. Our Abby Nesgoda's exclusive reports. It's coming up. Hey everyone, welcome back. Airlines have taken a lot of hits this summer, but travel has not been easy, right? Or close to what we consider back to normal.
And now we're 2 weeks away from Labor Day, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is sharing his plan to help smooth things out. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
If you've flown this summer, there's a good chance you've got a story and a complaint.
It's chaos, and I hope people have a better time than we are having.
In the first 6 months of the year, 24% of U.S. flights were delayed, 3.2% canceled. While violent weather and air traffic control problems contributed, the Department of Transportation says the airlines bear most of the blame for overscheduling flights despite not having enough pilots to fly them, then offering conflicting and confusing rules on cash refunds and voucher policies.
3 times in the last few weeks, I've been canceled.
DOT Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the confusion needs to end now.
The message to the airlines is that you've got to make it easier for passengers to understand their rights, and you've got to support passengers when they experience delays or cancellations.
In a new letter to the airlines, Secretary Buttigieg writes the level of disruption Americans have experienced this summer is unacceptable. He wants airlines to refund passengers money and offer meal vouchers if a domestic flight is delayed more than 3 hours, and provide hotel accommodations if a passenger must wait overnight.
You're calling on the airlines to either voluntarily meet these requirements and regulations, or you're going to do it for them?
That's right. I'm giving them an opportunity to raise the bar.
The airline industry tells NBC News its members comply with federal laws and regulations regarding cash refunds. Carriers strive to provide the highest level of customer service and are committed to working with travelers to address their individual circumstances. But 2 weeks ahead of Labor Day, travel pros suggest always having a backup plan if things go wrong.
Know what's included in your ticket. If you can proactively move your flight around, if you have a refundable ticket, a ticket with no change fees, move to earlier in the day, potentially leave a day early.
And that was Tom Costello reporting. It'll be really interesting to see if they actually implement those plans.
No doubt about that.
Well, that's all for us at the News at 4. I'm Priscilla Casper.
And I'm Colton Bradford. The NBC 10 Boston News at 5 with Cory and JC starts right now.
And we start at 5 with breaking news. This massive fire at a boatyard sends smoke high above the South Coast. We're going to show you more of this dramatic video and what we're learning from investigators.
Plus, it's the final countdown. The Orange Line about to go dark for a month, from the last-minute message from T officials to exclusive video from inside a shuttle test run. We have team coverage.
And an explosion levels a New Hampshire home. What the homeowner who was inside at the time is saying about this blast. The News at 5 starts now.
And we begin with breaking news out of Mattapoisett, where a massive fire is burning at a boatyard, and you can see the cars and the boats engulfed in flames. Lots of thick black smoke there. A mechanic told our sister station, WJAR, that a boat caught fire in a shed, and then the flames spread quickly. He said he heard several small explosions and that one person was hurt. We're working to confirm that, and we'll stay on top of this story, bring you updates as soon as they come into the newsroom. We are about to enter uncharted territory. Tonight's the night when the MBTA closes the entire Orange Line. So no one knows what's going to happen. But one thing is for sure, T-riders and Boston area drivers will feel the effects.
Yeah, we are about 4 hours from the shutdown. The MBTA saying this month-long closure is necessary to keep the line safe for riders. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Cory Smith.
I'm JC Monahan. So ready or not, here we go. We've been talking about this a long time. If all goes as planned, service will resume September 18th. Until then, many will be using shuttles to get around. This is video showing several elected leaders going for a test run on one of those shuttles. Only NBC 10 cameras were there for that ride, and we'll bring you that story in just a moment.
Yeah, that exclusive video is part of our team coverage. We're going to start with Michael Rosenfield. He has reaction from T officials who addressed riders' concerns today. Michael, what'd they say?
Hey guys, after all of the hype, this is crunch time. We are getting very close to the start of the shutdown here on the Orange Line this evening, and that means all of the stations like this one here at Mass Ave will be closing their doors. The Orange Line about to be shut down for a month.
It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a train wreck. Absolutely a total train wreck.
Riders trying to come up with their game plan.
Leave home earlier, catch the bus now and get the routes because I'm not used to the routes on the bus. So I have to learn that.
Jerome Peters takes the Orange Line 6 days a week.
It's going to be a hassle even coming home late at night because I get off at 11. So now I don't know how long it's going to take me to get home at night.
So you got to do some research?
Yeah, of course. Of course I got to do some research. I got to figure out how I can get home.
Transportation officials acknowledge the shutdown will be rough.
We do not want to portray this as an easy month.
Crews will work on the Orange Line 24/7 during the closure, much of the focus on repairing and replacing tracks.
We believe in the long run this will be worth it. We will have a better Orange Line for it. We will address the safety issues we need to address during this period of time.
With the 20 stops on the Orange Line shut down and close to 200 shuttle buses navigating the streets, this is expected to be a major headache.
I rely on the Orange Line pretty much every day, so it's just going to be tough for me, getting to work on time, and probably going to have to spend a good amount of money on Uber, so not looking forward to it.
Emily Perron is worried about the extra money she'll be spending to get to work.
And we don't have like a transportation subsidy or anything like that, so it's going to be tough.
Just good luck to everybody. Take a deep breath, waiting to exhale, whatever comes first.
That sounds like pretty good advice. Everybody is urged to be extremely patient over the next month. T officials say they are confident they can get all of the work done in the next 30 days. Only something like a safety issue could pose a problem and lead to an extension. We're live in the South End. Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
Michael, thank you. We go now to that NBC 10 Boston exclusive. We were the only station on board one of the Orange Line shuttle buses today as elected officials got an up-close look at the routes before they become part of the commute. NBC 10 Boston's Abby Niscoda joining us live from Government Center. All right, Abby, this is as close as we can get before it starts. What was it like?
Yeah, a little bit of a rough ride, JC. We took off from Government Center, where you can see some of the cones on the side of these bikes. They are set up for where these buses are going to line up. To get from here all the way to Oak Grove on these roads, it took us twice as long as it would on the T today. And even though the signs, like the ones you see here, are up, it is clear on the route, there's still plenty of work to do. Final practice runs ahead of the Orange Line shutdown. 200 shuttle buses here from all over the country, and today we took a ride on one of them.
We'll be here the whole time.
NBC 10 Boston, the only station on board a test drive with elected officials to see the north side of the shuttle route in real time. We started at Government Center, what will be one of 2 transit hubs for the shutdown, so riders can transfer to the Green Line.
Sullivan Square Station.
As we pulled into Sullivan Square Station, they pointed out some construction that will be on pause for the duration of the shutdown to help with the flow of traffic.
To put down bus lanes and shift some lane markings.
There were plenty of brand new bus lanes along the route, but we saw 4 cars driving in this one. And as we pulled into Assembly Square in Somerville, one car was parked in the bus lane.
They said they are going to work on enforcement.
Stephen Altrino was on board. He represents Malden.
They see traffic. You know an average commuter is going to try to cut in and go out.
Between stoplights and traffic, it took us 40 minutes to get to Oak Grove. The same trip on the train usually takes about 20.
The state has failed with the MBTA, so there's no way to put a happy face on where we're at.
We spoke with Representative Mike Connolly from Somerville once the ride was over. He says he appreciates seeing all of the preparations, but he still has questions.
Will these buses actually have adequate capacity or not? We're going to have to see that play out
And then, of course, the other question is, will this be 30 days or not?
Time will tell. That's the question everybody wants answered. And coming up at 6, we're going to have more takeaways from our exclusive ride-along before these shuttle buses go live. Again, the Orange Line shutdown now just hours away. We are live at Government Center. I'm Abby Nisco, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, some key insight there. Thank you so much, Abby. Now, organizations that deliver food to homebound seniors daily are bracing for delays as traffic is expected to get worse in the city. NBC 10's Bianca Beltran is live in Jamaica playing for us. And Bianca, this isn't just a matter of delivering hot food. This is a lifeline for a lot of people.
It is on top of the 8,000 meals that Ethos delivers with Meals on Wheels every single day. Each delivery is a check-in with each of their elderly clients. And their office in Jamaica Plain is located right down the street from this Green Street station. And we're starting to see those shuttles come through as they finalize their route. A glimpse of the dozens, if not hundreds of wheels joining them on the roads starting this weekend.
Every morning, Ethos drivers pick up hot meals prepared for homebound seniors in Boston.
Clock is ticking every single morning to get hot, nutritious meals out to consumers. And so, even a 20-minute delay, from our caterer to our travel time to and from a consumer's home, might have a real impact on us.
The Jamaica Plain location is right next to the Green Street Orange Line station. Ray Santos says many of their employees rely on the T to get to work.
It's going to really be challenging for them. Relying on shuttle buses and alternative forms of transportation alone may not do the trick.
Michael Finkley says the drivers become familiar with their clients' schedules, and their daily visits also serve as wellness checks.
They want to stay in their homes as long as possible, but at the same time, they need someone, because a lot of them, they don't have daily visits, to look out for them, and that's what the drivers do.
It's a lifeline, he says, beyond nutrition.
It happens on occasion. A driver may arrive to a senior's home. The door may be cracked or ajarred. The driver peeking, the senior may be on the ground. The driver has to make sure that senior's okay.
Drivers already battle rush hour traffic during their delivery window, and now they're preparing to adjust their schedules and routes if needed to navigate around additional traffic over the next month.
We're hopeful that we're able to weather it.
Now, the organization is echoing requests from the city and the MBTA that if people can avoid driving around the city, to please do so to help ease congestion on the roads. Reporting in Jamaica Plain, I'm Bianca Beltran, NBC 10 Boston.
Bianca, thank you. And don't forget to scan that QR code on your screen for more information on the Orange Line shutdown. You'll be taken to our website where we created a special page to help you get around. And then tune in tonight at 11 to see how the T is holding up in the first 2 hours of the shutdown. And by the way, the Orange Line closure won't be the only shutdown riders have to worry about. Parts of the Green Line will be out of service for nearly a month. Starting Monday, service from the Government Center station to the newly reopened Union Square station in Somerville will be replaced by shuttle buses. The T will be doing construction work that will help open the Medford branch this fall. The shuttle buses will be free. The closure will last until September 18th.
All right, time now for a quick check of the forecast. You take a live look outside the city of Boston. Pretty hot out there, but a really nice day. Certainly a lot of folks with that pent-up anxiety with this Orange Line shutdown coming can just step outside, take a nice deep breath. Mother Nature doing her part to make sure the transportation goes smoothly, at least, Pete.
Yeah, it looks hot through the weekend, too, Corey. Away from the coastline, we'll still be in the 90-degree range. We made it today. Lawrence down through Norwood, 86 in Worcester, 88 in Marshfield for a high temperature. And we did see that flare off of the fire in Mattapoisett, the boatyard. Look at this. It was caught on radar. You see it just burst and then run off. That's the smoke that went through Pocasset and down through North Falmouth, too. Dew Point's still holding their own. I mean, they're still dry. This is the dry heat we talk about, right? 46 for a dew point in Boston. And with a breeze today, the fire danger remains pretty high all around. 92 in Boston right now, 84 in Worcester. We will see that humidity climb a little bit over the weekend, especially on Sunday. Overnight tonight, partly and mostly clear. We'll fall back into the 70s. Boston settling right around 70. In the suburbs, we'll go back into the lower 60s. The air is dry, so we can cool off a little bit. We'll talk about the weekend forecast, how hot we are, how we just may pop off a brief shower tomorrow afternoon. Stay with us.
All right, Pete, thank you. Now to some developing news out of Saugus, where a wildfire shut down Breakheart Reservation for a 4th day in a row. Sky Ranger high above the scene earlier this afternoon. You can see the large plume of smoke just billowing above the tree line there. Closures of the reservation are expected for the rest of the week due to those dry conditions and the potential fire danger. Fire officials tell us these fires that broke out earlier in the week are being considered suspicious. Well, a member of the Islamic State terror group was sentenced to life in federal prison for his role in kidnapping, torturing, and executing foreigners in Syria. Among the victims was journalist and New Hampshire native James Foley. British national El Shafi El Sheikh was convicted on 8 charges back in April. He's the highest profile ISIS fighter to stand trial in the U.S. Foley's mother spoke after the sentencing and says she's satisfied with El Sheikh's punishment.
We must have accountability. We must have justice. And with today's verdict, we finally have a bit of justice.
El Sheikh was part of a group within ISIS dubbed the Beatles because of their British accents.
A father and son survived an explosion inside their Hampstead, New Hampshire home. This was the aftermath of the blast on School Street. Take a look. It knocked the home right off its foundation, blew out the wall, sent the garage door flying across the street. Nathan Close was asleep when everything around him just blew to pieces.
He just kept yelling at me, "Dad, get out, get out." Nobody really got hurt. My son got a couple of scrapes on him because he actually got blown from the kitchen into the dining room. I just thank God that I got out and he got out. We didn't really get hurt.
It's just a miracle. Investigators believe the explosion was caused by a propane leak. Also in New Hampshire, construction equipment comes raining down on cars on the highway in Bedford. Police say shovels, a rebar, concrete, they were thrown from the Queen City Bridge onto oncoming traffic. That rebar smashed through a windshield into an empty passenger seat, thankfully. Fortunately, no one was hurt there. Police are still looking for the person responsible for throwing these items.
A massive fire destroyed a warehouse in Dudley. Officials say there were multiple explosions and reports of chemicals in the building. That facility is on Roberts Road and it's used to make wax paper. Firefighters were able to keep the fire from spreading to 2 fuel tanks that were outside. The state's hazardous materials response team also responded to monitor the air quality.
Right now, the Patriots are suiting up to take on the Panthers in the second preseason game.
Yeah, tonight's matchup comes following several fights between the two teams during joint practices. Just ahead, I'm going to chat with NBC Sports Boston's Tommy Curran about what we should expect in tonight's game.
And then ahead at 5:30, have you seen them? We will take you inside the alarming rise of the spotted lanternfly. We'll show you how to handle them if they're in your yard.
And good news for Roku users, you can now get our latest NBC 10 Boston news, weather, and award-winning investigative reports on your TV or Roku app. Just select the live TV tile on the Roku TV home screen and click the left arrow button. Or you can open the Roku channel app, click the left arrow button, and that's going to take you to the navigation menu and just scroll on down to channel 140 to select live TV. You can watch NBC 10 Boston on Roku from anywhere in the country. We'll be right back.
JC Monahan and Cory Smith, weeknights at 5 and 7 only on NBC 10 Boston.
All right, let's talk a little football now. The Patriots gearing up for their second preseason game tonight against the Carolina Panthers out at Gillette. Training camp 2022 is over, so let's talk about some of the big storylines as we get closer to the real stuff, the regular season, which starts in a few weeks. Joining us in studio, NBC Sports Boston Patriots insider Tom E. Curran. All right, Tom, let's get right to it. We'll start with an easy one. What's been the biggest story out of Patriots camp?
Great question, Cory. It's the pivot the Patriots have made to a new offense. After 20 years of great success and 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins, they're changing things to make it more user-friendly, but it has gone in fits and starts so far with second-year quarterback Mac Jones and the 2 coaches who are overseeing this transition. In addition to Bill Belichick, it's Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. So really focusing on that and how it's coming as the Patriots get ready for their opener September 11th.
All right, so new offense and also new faces down in Foxborough. Who's been the biggest surprise at camp?
Boy, it's interesting when we've looked at the recent past, the Patriots haven't drafted well, but in this particular training camp, it looks like they've hit on a lot of their new guys. One of them, Tyquan Thornton, he was a second-round pick. We've seen receivers who didn't get into the system and make big contributions right away. Thornton, extremely fast, extremely tough for a wispy guy, and I really think he might make an impact.
Yeah, he's certainly wispy, that's for sure.
That's right.
Biggest disappointment coming out of camp?
Another wispy guy, and this is not an indictment on him for the season, but Kendrick Bourne was one of their best receivers last year, and he just hasn't been a huge contributor in training camp. And on Tuesday, he had a tough day. He got bounced out of a rep. Bill Belichick gave him an earful, got in a fight during practice, threw a punch, got thrown out of practice entirely. So he needs to start making some hay because a guy like Tyquan Thornton is nipping at his heels.
Yeah, he's got a couple of weeks to do so. Let's talk about tonight. Any chance we see Mac Jones take the field? And if so, how much work is he going to get?
I'm feeling that we will. I spoke to some sources within the organization. A lot of starters are going to play. I cannot tell you specifically Mac Jones is definitely playing, but I would presume he would. I'm going to say if he does play, it doesn't make any sense to play him for 2 series. You play him for 3 or 4 series. Try to get some situations in there. So I would guess for a full quarter, and then they have those practices next week out with the Las Vegas Raiders where he'll get more high-quality work.
Yeah, the best outcome is for everybody to stay healthy tonight.
Same here.
Yeah. All right, NBC Sports Boston Patriots insider Tom Curran. Tom, thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right, from football to baseball, the Red Sox will be heading to the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. They'll be there Sunday watching games, participating in pregame ceremonies. Hopefully they will be able to catch up with the Middleborough Little League team because they have an elimination game tomorrow, so we wish them the best of luck, of course. Now, meanwhile, the Sox can't seem to get over the hump. They were unable to finish a sweep of the lowly Pirates last night in Pittsburgh, dropping below 500 again. The Pirates won 8-2. Sox are still 5 games back of a wild card spot. They'll be in Baltimore tonight to start a 3-game series against the Orioles. First pitch set for 7:05.
First Alert Weather on NBC 10 Boston. Boston's most accurate forecast, certified by Weather Rate.
All right, Pete, this time of year, it's not unusual to kind of focus at things out on the West Coast with how dry it is, and we see those fires, but now it's way too close to home.
No, it's across the entire country, right, Pete? I mean, there's a widespread drought.
Yeah, it's huge. It goes all the way through the southeast, up into the northeast, of course, the entire west. The Midwest isn't all that bad, and we're getting these lists again. And when you start making these lists, this is when you know it's bad. This is the least amount of rain we've seen over the years to this point, to this date in August. And we're in the 4th place so far for 2022. To give you an indication of what it was like in the last big drought that we had, just about 6 years ago, 2016, we were 19.36 at this point in August. Just saying. So some are saying this is the worst drought, worse than 2016 in at least 2 decades. 92 in Boston, winds out of the west at 13. You don't need a day like this when you're in severe and extreme drought. But we have it, and we have a pretty nice weekend, too. There's a low-pressure system with a front here that we'll have to wait for. But, you know, we may, just may, with a little bit of instability tomorrow, be able to pop up a brief shower, too. Big news of the afternoon has been tropical depression in the making here. This is potential tropical cyclone 4. All right, winds to 35 miles an hour, moving northwest at 14 miles an hour. On that path, it's going towards the coast of Texas. This just formed, and this could become Danielle here in a short period of time, maybe late tonight. You see the track towards Brownsville, and a lot of the guidance just fades it out as it goes into at least northern and northeastern Mexico and southernmost Texas. But of course, this is a lot of water you're talking about in a somewhat arid climate, and we are in extreme drought too in central Texas. So a lot of that will be runoff and also maybe cause some flooding. It's ironic, you talk about a drought and then you bring a tropical system into it and you talk about flooding. 88 tomorrow for a high temperature. Our winds are out of the more southeast and then through Plymouth and down through Falmouth. Our temps are in the upper 80s. Good thing the race isn't tomorrow. We cool off a little bit for the road race on Sunday. That is the good news here. We'll be in the lower 80s, and early in the morning we'll be looking at temperatures that are right around 80 degrees or even upper 70s too for the race. Hot on Saturday, Sunday more humid, 88 and 87. So we step down a little bit, and these are Boston numbers, mind you. So the sea breeze is kind of getting a little bit more of an influence on our temperatures. Away from the coastline, you're still 90 degrees though both days this weekend. There are some high clouds we wake up to tomorrow, but this is one of the big issues for the weekend. Who gets this pop-up downpour for 5 or 10 minutes? Maybe it's not an issue, right? I mean, does it even matter? It's not going to do anything for the drought. It may inconvenience you. How about that? Manchester to Lowell and over towards Newburyport, we have a chance at seeing one, even maybe on the North Shore. Brief afternoon and into the evening, they fade quickly. And then on Sunday, it's back to the sunshine, blazing sun at that. Offshore, by the way, I know you see all these freckled showers. That's not shower activity. That's just the model guidance getting a little bit of a jump on something here, but it's not precipitation. But there may be fog that forms offshore as the dew points rise on Sunday and into Monday too. We're getting towards that time of year. The nights are a little bit longer. You have a little bit longer for that temperature to cool and for the fog to fester. So that's what happens now that we get towards September. And we are humid all the way through Tuesday and into Wednesday too. I don't have much for you. I got a chance for some storms on Monday, and maybe that's our best chance at 70%. There may be a lot of hits on Monday with showers and storms. And then Tuesday, a smaller chance, and then it diminishes a little bit more on Wednesday as well. Temperatures stay in the 80s. We are almost to the last 10-day period of August, and then we start September on Wednesday after the 10-day. Just putting it out there.
All right, thank you, P. I just look at Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that forecast, and think about the orange line shutdown and people biking in the rain.
Oh,
waiting for buses in the rain.
good point.
If you haven't already, make sure you download the NBC 10 Boston app. Great for staying up to date. You get access to the radar, the 10-day forecast, and our live newscasts. All right, little monsters, get ready. Your girl, Lady Gaga, about to take the Fenway stage.
And the pop superstar in Boston tonight, just ahead why the timing could be a headache for people trying to get home tonight.
And don't forget, you can help us clear the shelters. NBC and Telemundo stations across the country are working with hundreds of shelters to help pets find their forever homes. We've got a complete list of participating shelters in New England, along with information on how to adopt and donate at NBC10boston.com/clear the shelters. And as a reminder, the program runs through August 31st. We'll be right back.
I love many things about Raul. He's such a sweetheart.
Raul is just a really fun addition to our morning show. It's just really relatable, easygoing.
Raul is fantastic because he always starts the day on a positive note.
I think we have the perfect combination, and I respect the fact that he works so hard to get the story right.
Welcome back. Wayfair announcing some big layoffs. The company is cutting 870 jobs, including 400 in its home city here in Boston. That's about 5% of the company's global workforce, 10% of its corporate team. A similar size layoff took place back in February of 2020. Now, the decision comes as the online retailer reacts to sales declines brought on in part by inflation.
All the little monsters out there, are you ready for this one? Lady Gaga at Fenway tonight. And it's been a long time coming. Remember, she rescheduled her Chromatica Ball tour twice because of the pandemic. She's only going to 11 cities in America, so really lucky Boston made the cut. And a reminder, if you're headed to the concert and riding the T, the show ends just as the Orange Line shutdown begins. It's going to be a bit of a gamble getting home, JC, but they're going to have their poker face on, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, the 50th running of the A6 Falmouth Road Race is this Sunday, August 21st. 10,000 runners ready for the iconic 7-mile race on the Cape that attracts elite athletes, including marathon medalists and national champions from all over the globe. We'll be there for all the action. Tevin Wooten will be live at the starting line beginning at 6 a.m. And our own Eli Rosenberg will be joined by Olympic marathon medalist Dina Castor to anchor the entire race from start to finish. You can watch it streaming live on the websites of NBC Boston beginning at 8:30 a.m. The stations of NBC Boston are proud to be the media partner for the A6 Falmouth Road Race.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, the rocky and rushed rollout of the MBTA's plan has left many T riders uncertain about how to navigate the Orange Line shutdown.
Yeah, still ahead. I caught up with some Orange Line riders earlier today. We'll show you their concerns and frustrations with just hours until the shutdown. That's next.
And it was a hot day in Wakefield, but that didn't stop people from getting outside. Pete will be back with a check of that weekend forecast.
And the new at 11, a local viewer nearly lost thousands of dollars when a scammer stole her cell phone number. Telemundo's Betsy Bedell explains how it happened and what you can do to protect yourself. That's tonight at 11 on NBC 10 Boston. Now at 5:30, closing time. What MBTA riders are telling us in the final hours before the Orange Line shutdown.
Hot temperatures again today, and we continue that hot weather all the way through the weekend. We'll look for our small shower risk, too.
All right, bug off, right? They're the tiny insects responsible for a very big invasion. Now experts are saying it's time to put your foot down. The news at 5:30 starts now.
Tick, tick, tick. The historic 30-day closure of the MBTA's Orange Line is now hours away. from getting started. Welcome back to the News at 5. I'm Cory Smith.
I'm JC Monahan. The line will close down service tonight at 9 o'clock, marking the beginning of a month-long intense effort by the T to complete much-needed repair work. The trains aren't scheduled to roll again until September 18th. As Orange Line trains are idle for an entire month, the T says crews will work around the clock to fix tracks, signals, make those station upgrades, allowing basically 5 years of track replacement to get done in that 1 month that otherwise wouldn't have happened during the closures. The MPTA is offering alternatives to commuters during this time, including free rides on the commuter rail in Boston, free passes for blue bikes, and a free shuttle route. Officials say if you can work from home, you should.
I also acknowledge that many of our customers do not have that option, and that's why we've worked so hard for to create these various alternative paths.
The city is discouraging driving because congestion is expected to be a major issue with all the shuttle buses on the streets.
All right, so we are right in the middle of the final evening commute for Orange Line riders before the shutdown begins. But are they ready? Are they feeling frustrated? Well, I spoke to some of them earlier today. For those who regularly depend on the Orange Line to get them where they need to go, a 30-day shutdown is uncharted territory.
Why are they starting it now and not, this seems like a peak time for, tourists and stuff.
Sounds like a nightmare. I mean, even talking about it sounds like it's a nightmare.
While riders have had weeks to prepare, the rocky rollout of the MBTA's plan has left many uncertain about how to navigate the Orange Line shutdown.
I'm definitely worried about being late.
Co-workers and I are making a deal so everybody can make like a ride all together.
Okay, so you
like
guys
that.
may be considering carpool, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that there'll be buses available.
The MBTA's announcement drew criticism almost immediately, with everyone from passengers to politicians sounding off. But some riders are looking on the bright side and see these next 30 days as a short-term inconvenience with a long-term payoff.
It is what it is. We've been through worse, right?
But for many, the next month is about more than building a better T. It's about rebuilding trust in the MBTA. Riders we spoke to say completing the project on time could go a long way in getting that relationship back on track. Do you trust them to get this done in 30 days? It starts tonight. Do you expect to be on an Orange Line train in 30 days?
I want to hope for the best.
Does that sound feasible?
No.
Do you think they can get it done in 30 days?
I don't know.
Yeah, some of the riders we spoke to said while the next month will be a huge headache, they rather see the Orange Line shut for a month than endure potentially years of weekend shutdowns to get that work done. Be sure to stay with NBC 10 for the latest on the Orange Line shutdown. And we want to hear your experiences when it begins. You can send us a picture, record a video, and even tweet to us. If you see something go down.
All right, let's take a live look outside at the seaport to show you current conditions. In Boston, temperatures once again in the 90s. It's going to be hot again tomorrow. This heat is just clinging to us through the month of August. Meteorologist Pete Bouchard back with a quick check of the forecast. Pete, hot temps.
Hot temps all the way through the weekend, JC. Yeah, temperature 92 already in Boston, and we sit in the low 90s through the evening. So if you're stepping out, there's a breeze, no chance for any showers, no fog, no nothing like that. And our gusts have been up to 20 miles an hour at times in Beverly and up through Cape Ann as well. The wind blowing that smoke around. Not a good situation. You could see it sitting in the air, and it hangs at night, too, when the breezes drop off as well. Now, humidity is in check, and it should be through tomorrow, maybe even a good part of Sunday as well. So it's the dry heat they talk about in the west. We got that now in the east. Pop-up storm in Vermont will fade out. We are seeing the shield of high clouds move in tomorrow early on and be with us tomorrow. Now, you can see, too, that there are a couple of flare-offs here far away from our storm center that's down across North Carolina and offshore. So that may be ours for the taking tomorrow. Project that up into southern New England, and we may get a brief pop-up shower in the afternoon tomorrow. Brief, I mean like 30% chance of getting hit. So nothing to cancel plans over. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy by late tonight. The weekend forecast stays warm, but later in the week and next week, we have chances at storms. We'll go over that in a minute.
All right, thank you, Pete. Well, a double shooting is now under investigation in Lawrence. This happened early this morning near Manchester Street and May Street. Both victims are expected to be okay. No word yet on any arrests. Also happening right now, police in Quincy are investigating a homicide. Police say 32-year-old Jordan Wiggins was found shot to death yesterday morning inside a stairwell at the Elevation apartment complex. No arrests have been made, but police say there is no threat to the public.
A confrontation on the campaign trail in Maine caught on camera. Former Maine Governor Paul LePage is accused of threatening a Democratic Party worker. This happened at the Madawaska Acadian Festival last weekend. LePage, who is running against current Governor Janet Mills, is heard on video saying, "I'm going to deck ya," and "you're going down." Political analysts say incidents like this show the aggressive level of political dialogue between parties.
I think the reason it continues is because so far it works. Hopefully there's a candidate in this election cycle or in one to come that demonstrates that if you don't engage in this sort of mud wrestling, that the voters will take notice.
A spokesperson for LePage's campaign said he has not commented officially on the interaction, but felt the Democratic staffer was getting too close. Several refugees from Afghanistan who now live in southern Vermont are making a mark on their new home. They're turning heads with their artistic traditions that are now on display for everyone to see. NBC 10's Jack Thurston is in Brattleboro with a story that is all new at 5.
Throughout downtown Brattleboro, on walls, in alleys and parking lots, a series of colorful surprises from some of the newest residents here.
I'm lucky to be part of this community, which is very artistic.
Abdullah is a refugee from Afghanistan, where he was part of a group known as the Art Lords. They'd use murals to promote peace, but when the Taliban swept into power, Abdullah says the Art Lords' works were immediately painted over, simply because many promoted social justice and uplifted women. 5 of the Art Lords have now resettled in southern Vermont, where they can once again share their creativity.
It was a really beautiful feeling for me. As an artist, I really feel freedom of expression. She feels that she is now much more open than Afghanistan.
The group collaborated with other artists for a series of 17 temporary murals inspired by the destroyed work from Afghanistan. These versions are made mostly of tape.
It's been really nice to see people walking around trying to find all the murals.
Kirsten Martzi with the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center wants the murals to serve as an introduction to some of the community's new neighbors.
I think art is a great communication tool and a great platform for people to come together.
The pop-up exhibit is only on view through August 28th, but several permanent projects are in development. Getting back to doing what they love, the Art Lords say, has been key to healing from traumas they experienced in Afghanistan.
I'm feeling better day by day, so that's a good thing for me.
In Brattleboro, Vermont, Jack Thurston, NBC 10, Boston.
Thank you, Jack. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest on a deadly plane crash in California that killed 3 people.
Up next, new surveillance video of the crash, plus the latest on the investigation.
And tonight on Dateline, when a violent home invasion rocks the small town of Saco, Maine, police and the FBI launch a complex investigation that spans into Londonderry, New Hampshire. You can watch Dateline's The Intruder tonight, right here at 10.
And good news for Roku users. You can now get our latest NBC 10 Boston news, weather, and award-winning investigative reports on your TV or Roku app. You just select the live TV tile. It's on your Roku TV home screen. You click the left arrow button, or you can just open the Roku channel app, whichever works for you. Click the left arrow button again. That will take you to the navigation menu. You scroll down to channel 140 to select live TV, and you can watch NBC 10 Boston on Roku from anywhere in the country.
A Michigan judge has temporarily barred prosecutors from enforcing the state's 1931 abortion ban following the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade. The judge said the abortion ban is dangerous and would present a constitutional crisis. He said everyone in Michigan is harmed by the law and would be harmed if an injunction was not granted, meaning as of today, abortion care is not punishable by law in Michigan. A pretrial hearing is set for November.
Vanessa Bryant testified today in the trial surrounding leaked photos taken at the site of the helicopter crash that killed her husband, Kobe Bryant, her daughter, Gianna, and 7 others. Bryant cried as she recounted learning that first responders leaked images of the crash site. She said she's never seen the photos but felt, quote, blindsided, devastated, hurt, and betrayed by the leak. Her testimony is part of a lawsuit seeking damages for emotional distress against Los Angeles County.
Well, we're getting a look at new video of the aftermath of yesterday's deadly plane collision in California. The home security camera shows the smoke rising above the crash site after 2 small planes collided in Watsonville. The FAA says the crash happened as the pilots were preparing to land at the airport. You can see it there in the upper right of your screen. According to the FAA, 3 people were on those 2 planes. No one on the ground was hurt.
Now to Maryland, where a former CPAG crane generating station in Baltimore County was imploded earlier today. A large crowd gathered on land and in the water to watch that implosion that you just saw right there. It just took seconds, and the facility was reduced to rubble. The old factory was demolished to make way for residential housing. It's amazing how they can do that. It just collapses in on itself.
Wow.
A mystery in the skies overseas.
Yeah, what caused this light in the sky that so many people in Japan got to witness? That's ahead, and so is Pete.
Oh, 92 is our temperature. The wind out of the west at about 13 miles an hour. We have a hot evening and a hot weekend ahead. Stay with us.
And tonight on Nightly News, an NBC News exclusive, airlines put on notice. Tom Costello sits down with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who has a message for airlines about how to treat travelers. That's at 6:30, right here on NBC 10 Boston. Welcome back. Mission complete. A SpaceX Dragon cargo ship departed from the International Space Station today. It was launched into orbit in mid-July. The Dragon delivered nearly 6,000 pounds of supplies and hardware to the ISS. It is scheduled to splash down in the Atlantic off the Florida coast on Saturday. The Dragon is carrying 4,000 pounds of experiments and other gear back to researchers here on Earth.
Well, people in parts of the Far East witnessed an incredible scene in the sky. What you're looking at there is a massive shooting star. The fireball was seen in various parts of eastern Japan, Tokyo, and Fuji. Pretty cool sight to see.
Well, and somebody caught it on video, which is always incredible because they go so quick. So somebody just has to be in the right place at the right time.
And hopefully somebody made a big wish because it was a big shooting star.
Good point. Right. Well, if they caught it in time. Can you wish on a big, huge
You can wish on anything,
meteor-like
right?
thing?
Absolutely. And the bolide, it's quick. And especially at night, it illuminates the entire sky and the landscape, too. 92 in Boston for a temperature right now. That's the high of the day. 91 in Beverly, 91 in Lawrence, 90 in Bedford, and 84 in Worcester. Of course, we talk about the drought, how bad it is, and we don't need any more days like this, but summer rolls on nonetheless. The low temperature in Boston downtown, about 70 degrees. It's still warm. So we're coming off of a hot day. We cool the concrete a little bit slowly in the city. But in the suburbs, with dry air in place, we cool a little bit quicker and low 60s. So it's still somewhat comfortable. If you want to go out early tomorrow morning before the heat sets in, do that. In the afternoon, it gets progressively hotter, although that sun angle is a lot lower than it was in June, that's for sure. That's very noticeable in the afternoon. So it's still remarkable that we are able to get into the low 90s tomorrow. And we'll do that through the Merrimack Valley, southern New Hampshire, all the way to Nashua. Lynn is 86 degrees with more of an onshore breeze coming out of the south-southeast. And look, on the South Shore, we're still plenty hot, even though, again, the winds are out of the southeast, too. This time of year, we're not making much of a cool down along the coastline. 88 Worcester, same in Boston, 92 in Fitchburg. Doesn't need a high sun angle to get us into the 90s. The landscape parched is easily heated up, and that's key to this forecast, too. If we had perhaps a ton of water in the soil, these numbers could be much lower. That's the difference of being in a drought versus not in a drought. It really makes a huge difference in the temperature going into the late season of summer and into September, too. We could wake with fog, and now we won't because the atmosphere is just too parched, too. It's the thirst of the atmosphere, as it's called. 91 in Lowell and 87 in Boston on Sunday. Winds are out of the south. And, of course, the Falmouth Road Racetrack, happy sponsors. On Sunday in the morning, 7 o'clock, you got to be there if you're an elite runner, and then a little bit later for other runners. And then 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, the race is ongoing. Temps will crawl through the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. The winds are light out of the southeast. We have a ton of sunshine, too. There are some clouds to start the day tomorrow moving through, and then we have a pop-up shower possible. I know it looks pretty big here across southern New Hampshire. Our best chance is northern Mass, southern New Hampshire. Don't key into where this is or how intense it is. Just think that there's a chance there, and I think that's what the model is getting at. And then we get into Sunday and just a few fair weather clouds and maybe some fog offshore trying to form, too. Humidity will be climbing through the weekend and into early next week and even Wednesday as well. We hold on to that. We'll have to wait until Thursday to start seeing that slide and that drier air start to move in. You can see the chance for thunder on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, 70% back into 40%. We're in the 80s. And then after this little interruption of showers and thunderstorms, we cool down briefly, maybe Wednesday, and then come back up again. We see no sign that it's going to be below normal anytime soon, or any sign of any appreciable rain in the forecast.
That's something we desperately need. If you haven't already, just make sure you download the NBC 10 Boston app. That way you can stay up to date. You can have access to the radar that hopefully will be showing rain sooner rather than later, and the 10-day forecasts, of course. Have you seen these bad news bugs? Have you seen them?
No,
All right.
I don't want to.
Well, you're going to, because there has been an alarming rise of the spotted lanternfly in a growing number of states, including Massachusetts.
Yeah, coming up next, the problems they're causing and what you can do to deal with them if they're in your yard.
And then ahead at 6, we are just hours away from the orange line shutdown. The entire line goes dark for 30 days, and it starts in about 3 hours. We have team coverage and the last-minute information you need to know.
We're going to wrap things up with the little bugs that have people in multiple states worried. That includes here in Massachusetts.
You may have seen them, the spotted lanternflies, and while their bright colors might look cool, this invasive species' eating habits are bad news.
Yeah, NBC's Jesse Kirsch is on the hunt for these pests in Ohio, one of the states where they've been spotted.
About as big as a brightly colored thumbnail, the spotted lanternfly may be pretty small, but this morning it has the potential to cause big problems. From New York to North Carolina and all the way west to Indiana, the invasive species has been spotted in at least 12 states this year.
Their mouth parts are basically a straw, so they stab them into plants and drink plant juices. Well, the plants need those plant juices to make new leaves and to make fruit.
Dr. Mark Willis, an entomologist who studies bugs, says fruit quality and quantity could suffer. In all, more than 70 plant species are at risk of death, with officials specifically warning the pests could seriously threaten grape, orchard, and logging industries, potentially costing the economy hundreds of millions of dollars each year, according to some estimates. The U.S. Department of Agriculture believes the species, native to China, first appeared in the U.S. back in 2014. Experts say they're not great flyers, but are still making their way cross-country because they're pretty good hitchhikers.
A female could drop off of a plant and lay its eggs on the underside of your RV, and you drive off on vacation, and now the eggs are somewhere where they haven't been before.
Spotted lanternfly are...
Jennifer Greiser with Cleveland Metro Parks says they made their way to Ohio by train.
They go after a large variety of hosts, so different types of tree species, and also they create a big mess.
She's worried about the spotted lanternfly's favorite snacks and the forest overall.
There is the potential that one day a lot of the diversity we see out here could be eaten up, literally.
If we aren't actively managing, but we are. So, you know, we're doing the best we can to give our forest the best chance possible going forward.
So what can you do to save everything from beer hops to peach, plum, and poplar trees? If you spot these eggs, scrape them into a bag of hand sanitizer, seal it, and throw away. Also watch out for oozing plants with a fermented odor, sticky fluid, plus sooty mold. And if you find the pesky pests themselves...
They can't bite you. They don't have a stinger. You can help us all out if you step on it.
And when you see the red, squish.
Squish.
You heard right. Kill the bugs.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I've crushed a few. A mission that now has social media buzzing.
Show us how your lantern swapper works. You got it.
Frappuccino cup works really well. It's my new go-to.
So gross.
Oh, that was disgusting.
That's why you're supposed to kill them.
Step on them. Okay, well, I'll just move. NBC's Jesse Kirsch, by the way, was reporting there. Thanks for watching NBC 10 Boston News at 5. I'm JC Monahan.
And I'm Cory Smith. The news at 6 with Priscilla and Glenn starts now.
Now at 6, the wait is nearly over. The MBTA is hours away from shutting down the orange line for a month.
We were the only TV station on board a shuttle bus this morning with elected officials previewing what service will look like. I'll share what we saw.
A house is leveled after an explosion in New Hampshire. The 2 men inside survived the big blast.
And hot temperatures, Priscilla. We saw them today. We'll see them over the weekend. That forecast ahead.
At 9 tonight, the MBTA is pulling the Orange Line tracks off, trains off the tracks for a month in an unprecedented historic shutdown of the entire line. Good Friday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Priscilla Casper.
And I'm Glenn Jones. The MBTA is hoping to get 5 years of work done in the next 30 days. Let's take a look back to see how we got to where we are. The MBTA has dealt with several serious issues in the past year, including this fire on an Orange Line train. There have been train derailments and runaway trains taking off down the track. That led to federal transit authorities stepping in, recommending the MBTA fix a handful of safety issues, including operations and staffing. The hope is this shutdown will help resolve some of those problems.
We have a team in the field covering the last-minute preparations ahead of the shutdown. NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield kicks off our live coverage from the Mass Ave station in the South End. Michael.
Well, Priscilla, passengers are not happy with what's about to take place. This is going to be a very big headache for a lot of people. As we know, signs like this have been up all over the place, reminding everybody that this begins at 9 tonight. And then at this hour, at that hour, all of the doors here at all of the stations here on the Orange Line will be closing. Orange Line riders bracing for the worst.
I think it's going to be a total massacre.
Rhoda Johnson hops on at the Mass Ave stop at least twice a week to shop, run errands, and pay bills at City Hall. She's not looking forward to the month ahead.
Watch everybody scream and holler and act up. That's my, and just stand aside and just take my time where I have to go.
MBTA officials acknowledge this will be rough with the 20 stops on the Orange Line shut down, close to 200 shuttle buses navigating the streets, and so many more people walking and biking in the city.
We know this closure will be disruptive.
The T says the fixes they'll be making will make the trains run faster, safer, and more reliable.
We'll be able to accomplish over 5 years' worth of projects during these 30 days, including work on important safety initiatives and work that will alleviate at least 6 slow zones.
More than 100,000 people take the Orange Line every day, and now they'll need a new plan of attack to get to where they need to go.
It's just so confusing to everything and everybody. It's, I'm worried. I'm worried, absolutely. The congestion in the street is just, we're not ready for it. They're not ready for this. Absolutely not. This is ridiculous.
Kim Aravallo rides the Orange Line from Malden to downtown Boston and Cambridge all the time.
They put a Band-Aid on everything. They should have really fixed this a long time ago. It shouldn't have to come to this.
So the system will be powered down around 9 o'clock tonight, and then all of the Orange Line cars will be taken out of service and placed into storage. Live in the South End, Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
Okay, Michael, thanks for getting us started off. Now to an NBC 10 Boston exclusive. We were the only station on board one of the Orange Line shuttle buses today. We joined elected officials getting an up-close look at the routes before they become part of your commute. NBC 10's Abby Nisgoda joins us live from Government Center to tell us about the test ride. Abby.
Well, Glenn, as you mentioned, we were the only station on board that test drive. And I have to say, it's clear along the route, a lot of work has been done, but there's still a lot of work left to do. As you take a look live at Government Center, you can see they've got the cones up. They've got the signs up. There are 200 shuttle buses here from across the country to help with the shutdown. And today, we got a ride on one of them.
I think it's going to be really difficult.
By now, you've seen the maps of the shuttle bus routes for the Orange Line shutdown.
I think it's going to be challenging.
But what will this actually look like on the roads? Today, we found out.
We'll be here the whole time.
NBC 10 Boston, the only station on board a test drive with elected officials to see the north side of the shuttle route in real time. We started at Government Center, what will be one of 2 transit hubs so riders can transfer to the Green Line.
Sullivan Square Station.
As we pulled into Sullivan Square, we saw one of the construction projects they're pausing to help with traffic flow. They've also installed a lot of brand new bus lanes. But count how many cars we spotted driving in this one. And check out this car that was parked in a bus lane at Assembly Square in Somerville.
It is concerning.
That's State Rep Mike Connolly's district. He was also on board.
Will these buses actually have adequate capacity or not? We're going to have to see that play out And then, of course, the other question is, will this be 30 days or not?
In total, it took us 40 minutes to get to Oak Grove. The same trip on the train usually takes about 20, but our trip wasn't even during rush hour.
Plan on being delayed to get to your destination.
State Rep Stephen Altrino from Malden was also along for the ride. He says he appreciates seeing all of the preparations, but he still has a lot of reservations about how this will go.
Again, time will tell. That is uncomfortable for me as an elected official to tell my constituents, oh, time will tell.
Yep, time will tell. That's a phrase we've heard a lot lately leading up to the shutdown that's now just hours away. That elected official you just heard from, one of several, calling for some of these buses to run express, especially during the morning and evening commute. They say the test ride today only further proves their point for why that's needed. Live at Government Center, I'm Abby Nisgood, NBC 10 Boston.
Patience is going to be key. Thank you, Abby. Well, it won't take long for the shutdown to get its first real test. Thousands of people will be at Fenway Park tonight for a Lady Gaga concert. NBC 10's Malcolm Johnson joining us live there. And Malcolm, traffic tonight leaving Boston, it's going to be extra tricky with all of these thousands of people.
It will be, Priscilla. In fact, I think we're getting a preview of it right now. If you take a look, you can see all of the cars that are lining just outside of Fenway Park here. Many of them Ubers dropping off passengers. We can anticipate that there will be many more Ubers due to the Orange Line shutting down later on this evening. But this is a Gaga concert, so they've got the T-shirts being sold here right on the corner. It looks like the Sox are about to play in a little bit, but as we know, it's going to be a concert. You can see people making their way through security for tonight's show. In about an hour and a half, Priscilla, pop superstar Lady Gaga, she will be taking the stage here at Fenway. Now, tonight's tour stop here in Boston, it is in support of Gaga's 5th studio album, Chromatica. During the show, as we've mentioned, the Orange Line will be shutting down, and that'll start at 9 o'clock tonight. The Green Line, that mainly serves passengers here coming to Fenway, but many riders, they used the Orange Line and transferred to the Green Line to get here. Concertgoers, they are expecting a chaotic commute for many when the show is over.
They probably should have kept it open till the end of the show, made things easier for people. I'm actually concerned, so that's why we took the Green Line, and I live close enough that I could even walk home. So that's an option for me, but I know for some people it's not an option.
And we're planning on leaving a little bit early just to avoid some of the rush.
Yeah, so if you're at home right now and you're planning to make your way here to the concert, you should plan ahead on how you will make your way back to your house or wherever it is that you're going due to the Orange Line shutdown that will begin at 9 o'clock. We're live outside of Fenway. I'm Malcolm Johnson, NBC 10 Boston.
Okay, Malcolm, thank you. All that traffic congestion equals a lot of stress for drivers, in particular organizations that deliver meals to homebound seniors. One of those companies is Ethos in Jamaica Plain. They deliver 8,000 meals to seniors all over Boston every day. They're located down the street from the Green Street Orange Line station, and they're preparing for a tough month ahead. They say they're going to wait and see what the shutdown brings and adjust as needed.
You don't have to be in the office, or you don't have to come into work, and you don't have to drive, and you can leave a little bit more room for the Meals on Wheels drivers that are out there and be patient. We would greatly appreciate it.
And it's not just food delivery. The drivers are also daily check-ins with seniors, and in some cases, they've helped in emergencies. Be sure to stay with us tonight at 11. We will be 2 hours into the shutdown by that point. People at the Lady Gaga concert will be trying to get home, as Malcolm just mentioned. We'll have team coverage on how things are going right here on NBC 10 Boston.
We are following developing news tonight. A massive fire at a boatyard in Mattapoisett is under investigation. A building along with cars and boats was seen engulfed in flames. The plumes of black smoke could be seen from miles away.
My goodness.
A mechanic told our sister station, WJAR, that a boat in the shed caught fire and those flames quickly spread. First alert weather now. Wildfire is still burning at the Breakheart Reservation in Saugus. DCR shut down the popular walking trail again today due to the flames and that heavy smoke you see there. They say it will be shut down through Sunday.
Meteorologist Pete Bouchard joins us now. And Pete, we know it's hot, we know it's dry out there, but here's the thing. I don't even see a way out of this in any time soon.
Yeah, there isn't one. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, a scattered shower Saturday afternoon, or an isolated shower, say. You know, that boatyard fire, you could see it on radar. The plume of smoke we just talked about, that flared off and the radar caught it, boom, right there and ran away. And it was one of those really intense fires, not a storm, on radar. 92 for a high temperature today in Boston. It's 86 back through Worcester for a high temp, and about 86 back into Chatham, too. So breezes are blowing. This isn't a big issue either. This evening it dies off, but it has been through the afternoons, as we've seen. Some gusts have been up to 20 miles an hour. So any brush fires that get going, keep going. And the fact of the matter is, when we get a brush fire in the woods, they go subterranean and go down through the root system. So that breakheart fire probably won't be out until we get a good downpour. And that could go on for quite a while, days and days. Sheer the high clouds to the south. Those come in later tonight. We're comfortable dry as we're going through Saturday and even into Sunday, too. We will see the humidity climb a little bit on Sunday. We'll get into that forecast in just a little bit.
Okay, Pete, thank you. A British national who was a member of the Islamic State has been sentenced to life in prison. He tortured and executed foreign hostages in Syria, including journalist and New Hampshire native James Foley. Al-Shafi al-Sheikh was found guilty back in April on charges related to the deaths of Foley and 3 other Americans. Al-Sheikh was part of an ISIS group called the Beatles because of their British accents.
Well, Boston-based Wayfair is cutting nearly 900 jobs, 400 of those layoffs here in Boston. The cuts come as the online home furnishings retailer reports second quarter revenue is down nearly 15% from last year. The job cuts represent about 5% of the company's global workforce. Back in 2020, Wayfair laid off 3% of its workforce, though the company did rebound during the pandemic. Well, a dining staple north of Boston is shutting down after 75 years in the business.
We're talking about Skip's Snack Bar in Merrimack. The restaurant on East Main Street is closing its doors for good at the end of the month. The co-owner reportedly told customers that it's just time to move on. According to a statement in the Daily News, the owner says Skip's is, quote, not a victim of a COVID closure, but has chosen at this time to move on to a new chapter. Skip's first opened back in 1947.
Oh, a lot of people going to miss that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, are you ready for some football?
You know I'm ready. The Pats playing the Panthers at Gillette tonight in preseason game 2. But the big question concerns that guy right there, Mac Jones. Will we see number 10 take to the field to get some snaps in? We'll have a preview of the game coming up in sports.
A possible gas explosion levels this New Hampshire house. Coming up, what the man inside at the time says it felt like, and how he and his son and their dog somehow escaped unharmed.
And next on NBC Nightly News, the ultimatum for airlines 2 weeks before Labor Day weekend. The Department of Transportation says airlines must come up with an action plan to treat travelers better, including the steps companies must take for customer service. Hear how the airlines are responding coming up at 6:30 right after our newscast.
And if you have Roku, good news, you can watch us there. NBC Boston News is now live on Roku, channel 140. You can stream the latest local newscasts, breaking news, weather, live events, award-winning investigative reports, and so much more. If you want to learn how to watch, go to NBC10Boston.com/Roku for instructions.
Welcome back. Turning now to New Hampshire, where construction equipment came raining down on cars on a highway. Take a look. Now, these are cars that were hit last night in Bedford. Police say rebar, shovels, and concrete were thrown from the Queen City Bridge into oncoming traffic. In fact, the rebar broke through a windshield right into an empty passenger seat. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but police are now trying to figure out who is responsible. Meanwhile, more damage in New Hampshire, and this is a lot more serious. Sky Ranger flying over an explosion that leveled this house in just a matter of seconds.
My goodness, look at that wreckage. It happened this morning in Hampstead. NBC 10's Mike Manzoni spoke to the homeowner who was inside when this all happened. He shares the incredible story.
He just kept yelling at me, "Dad, get out, get out."
Nathan Close was asleep when everything around him just blew to pieces.
All the debris was falling all over me when I was in the bed.
The blast knocked his Hampstead, New Hampshire home off its foundation, blew out walls, ripped off siding, and sent his garage door flying across the street into his neighbor's front yard.
Nobody really got hurt. My son got a couple of scrapes on him. because he actually got blown from the kitchen into the dining room.
Investigators suspect that propane caused the whole thing, which neighbors say even shook their homes.
We just heard a loud bang and woke me up.
School Street doesn't have any gas lines, but many homes have propane tanks. Investigators are now trying to find out if anyone recently worked on this one.
Anytime you're working with gas, electricity, use a licensed professional, and they'll ensure that the job is done correctly.
There's a propane stove, there's a propane water heater, and there's a propane dryer. So we're starting to look at those appliances as best we can.
Nathan's home is obviously a total loss, but he says he'll build a new one for himself, his son, and their dog Jessie.
I just thank God that I got out and he got out. We didn't really get hurt.
And Nathan says he'll stay with his daughter for now while he sorts out his next steps. We're in Hampstead, New Hampshire. Mike Manzoni, NBC 10 Boston.
I'm glad everyone was okay there. Well, switching gears, this weekend, a big annual road race is celebrating a major milestone year.
Yeah, it's the 50th running of the Falmouth Road Race. About 10,000 runners are set to run the beautiful course on the Cape, which is just over 7 miles long. The race draws an international field of Olympians, elites, and recreational runners. The stations of NBCU Boston are proud to be the media partner of the ASICS Falmouth Road Race. Tevin Wooten will be live at the starting line during our Sunday morning newscast, and Eli Rosenberg will be joined by Olympic marathon medalist Dina Castor to anchor the entire race from start to finish. You could watch it streaming live on our website, NBC10Boston.com, beginning at 8:30. And Priscilla, Pete, it'll be a hot race.
Well, and I'm convinced, I haven't known you for that long yet, but I'm
Right.
convinced you could run
I
7
couldn't run
miles.
that.
You
So
can
are you
do it.
crazy?
He does Orange Theory, and I'm sure, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Easy. Let's not overplay my hand. I'd love to run in it, but there's some really good runners there, and I'm just
I can't
fascinated
wait
by
to
it.
watch, yeah.
Yeah, it's really going to be fun. So
Maybe
corrals are
next year.
starting.
We'll prepare. We'll all prepare.
Yep. Right. Can you imagine?
I'm out.
I might be too. My joints, I got whatever. The Falmouth Road Race forecast looks pretty good. Temperatures in the 70s, 76 to 77 in the 79. So we warm it up slowly. This is not one of those intensely hot forecasts. The humidity will be climbing, though, on Sunday. And it looks like we're all dry. We're not worried about any showers or anything like that. Just pace yourself, literally. Driest years in Boston to date, to this point in time, August 18th, August 19th. It's dry, obviously. We know that. We're in 4th place. And then I put as reference the most recent drought, which is pretty intense across the Commonwealth. 2016, 19.36. We had more rain that year than we do this year. Is the drought worse? You could make that argument. Absolutely. It is really bad out there. You need me to tell you? Step outside. Crunch, crunch under your feet. 89 in Lawrence, same in Bedford right now. We're cooling off, although not so much in Beverly at 90 degrees still. Water temperature close to 70. Temperatures are in the 80s. What a summer it's been. I know it's coming to a close, but it has been spectacular all around, right? I mean, we had a coolish June. Things seemed okay and on track, but then we started drying out and we got some hot spells in there too. The beaches have been mobbed, especially after the pandemic. 70 in Boston for a low temperature, in Lynn about 67, 64 in Plymouth. And in some of the suburbs will fall back into the lower 60s. So the air's still dry and we can cool things off a little bit. We're going into the tropics, specifically the Gulf of Mexico, not deep into the tropics, but we're watching this. It's 4. Its name is 4. It's like Stranger Things here. Where's 11, right? Winds to 35 miles an hour. No, it's not like that. It's potential tropical cyclone, PTC4. This is going to be a depression. Then it'll graduate to a tropical storm, perhaps, and become Danielle later tonight and into tomorrow as it heads towards a very arid northeast Mexico, southern Texas. Is it a good thing? Not necessarily when you talk about a tropical system coming in. Too much of a good thing, really, is what it is. But maybe, just maybe, as it falls apart across South Texas and kind of just spreads out, it will be beneficial at some point. It'd be nice to get one up here. Can we bargain for that? No, there's nothing brewing out there. There's nothing out there for the next 7 to 10 days. 88 in Boston for high tomorrow. We're a smidge cooler than today's low 90s, thanks to the winds out of the southeast. Elsewhere into the 90s we go once again. From Framingham to the Merrimack Valley. And Sunday, ditto. No change in the temperatures, really. We're coolest at the coastline, if we can even call it that. Maybe out through the Greasy Pole up in Gloucester and back through Lynn. We'll be in the mid-80s, 85 Plymouth and 70s on Cape Cod. There may be some fog offshore that starts to form on Sunday evening, too. High clouds are the words. That's what you're seeing here on Saturday. And a flare-up of a thunderstorm or a shower tomorrow. This seemed at first like, a whim, maybe. But now it seems like maybe we might have something here between about 3 and 6 o'clock, something to at least watch in the sky, pop up and move on. So it may take 20 minutes of your time. Again, these are the type that pulse. We call it pulsing thunderstorms, where they grow, blossom, and fade within a matter of minutes. So there's not going to be much water out of them. Dew point forecast climbs on Monday into Tuesday as well. The humidity is coming with that, and that will fuel some thunder or some downpours on Monday and into Tuesday. Hopefully, that's our best hope, is the random storm here in the short term. In long term, we start to see the humidity drop a little bit on Thursday, but the heat is still with us. Summer rolls on, and the 10-day goes to August 30th. Almost the end of August. It's sad, huh? Wow. Summer's done.
It's a nice 10-day, but we could use some more rain. Thank you, Pete. You bet. Sports is coming up next.
And the big question, where is Tom Brady? He's been absent from the Bucs camp for more than a week, and his coach didn't exactly clarify things yesterday. Trenny joining me after the break with her take on what is going on in Tampa.
And a local viewer nearly lost thousands of dollars when a scammer stole her cell phone number. Telemundo Nueva Inglaterra's Betsy Bedell explains how it happened and what you can do to protect yourself tonight at 11 on NBC 10 Boston.
Every pet is different. The one thing they have in common is you, the need to find not just a home, but family. Whether you adopt or donate, you can help clear the shelters. Visit cleartheshelters.com for more information.
NBC Sports Boston presents the Chevrolet Sports Update, driven by your New England Chevy dealers.
Hey, welcome back. Time now for sports with Trenny here in the NBC Sports Boston studio. The Patriots have their second preseason game tonight, facing off against the Panthers. Now, these two teams appear to have some bad blood between them after several fights this week during joint practice sessions. So, Trenny, can we expect more fireworks tonight? What's going on?
I've been told no. At least the people who are down there every day. They say what happened in practice was like the way, like one team was going at one speed, another team was doing something else. So I don't think we're all that concerned that there's going to be like a fight that breaks out. That's usually something that happens too during practice. It's warm. You're bored. You're going through drills and things like that. Although it did happen more often, I think, than most people, at least me, would have liked to see this week in practice. But I think it'll be okay. The good thing is, though, I think we're actually going to see starters for the Patriots go tonight. It's expected that Mac Jones and the first-team offense in particular is going to go at least a couple of series and just try to get on the same page with their new offensive coordinator, although I hate using that term because there isn't really a true offensive coordinator for the Patriots right now, which is part of the problem. But we'll kind of maybe start to see what this offense looks like, even though the Carolina Panthers are only going to go with their number 2. So it won't be an evenly matched game, but at least we'll get to see Mac Jones and company out on the field actually playing real football.
Yeah, no, it'll be good to see some of those big starters there.
Yes.
Now, switching to former Patriot quarterback Tom Brady, he is still MIA at the Buccaneers training camp after leaving last week to deal with a personal matter. We still really don't know what that is, and the Bucs coach has really no timetable for his return. What's going on?
So we don't know. We were told it's for personal reasons, but there's this great conspiracy theory on Reddit today. I'm not a Reddit person.
I was going to say, you seem very, yes.
But I'm not a Reddit person. I had to just click on something. I don't have an account, but I read through this thread. Someone thinks that he is part of the Masked Singer because in the off season he agreed to a deal with Fox to be a broadcaster. The Masked Singer is a show, I guess, on that network. I actually don't watch it. And
it's really good. It's really good.
Somebody went down the rabbit hole and was like, they're taping during this time, and that's when he's not going to be here. So maybe that's not why he's around. I'm not quite sure if that's what it is or not, but it's good for fodder.
I wonder what his song would be.
Oh, great question.
Right?
I should have thought of that before.
We're going to have to continue on the Reddit.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Trini. We're coming right back.
This Chevrolet Sports Update is driven by your New England Chevy dealers. New vehicles are arriving daily. Hurry into your New England Chevy dealer to secure yours today.
It's Friday. Time now for your NBC 10 Boston takeaways.
Now, the big takeaway tonight, of course, is the Orange Line shutdown. It starts at 9 o'clock and will last through September 18th. The MBTA has shuttle bus routes that will take the place of the trains starting tonight. Transit officials are also encouraging riders to take the commuter rail, a different subway line, or use the free blue bike to get around town.
And it's not just the Orange Line. Starting Monday, parts of the Green Line will be out of service, stretching from Union Square to Government Center Station. That closure will also last through September 18th. Shuttle buses will also be available for that route. NBC Nightly News is next. How Americans are shifting their spending habits. It starts right now.